Hey garden friends, this morning I was getting out here to start to deadhead and take care of my iris plants. The majority of them are done blooming. I have a few little blooms, not little blooms, like single blooms here and there to enjoy, but the majority are done. And I want to deadhead them and get them tucked away for the rest of the summer where they can just absorb sunlight and whatever, store energy in the rhizomes for next year. So I'll grab my tools and we'll start on this one right here because not only does it need to be deadheaded, but it needs to be divided. So I'll show you how I do that. This is the iris I'm working on today, or this morning, one of many. But if I was just going to deadhead, then I just would cut these in increments down. This is the stem. They're usually full of a lot of moisture. I often do, when I'm deadheading, the chop and drop method. It mulches on the soil and it will compost in place. And so that is a win-win. You're not having to spread more compost. And when your plants are planted closely together, like many of mine are, then you're not going to notice them on the ground. So, yeah, that's just one way I do that. And if you're not going to mulch them in place, then you go right down to the base and you cut it off as close as the base as you can get. And then you can put it in your compost bin or what have you. And while you're in here doing it, it's a good time to weed. I got some oxalis in here and a dogwood tree I don't want. Okay, so what about dividing? Can you see down here at the base? I might need to back you guys up or point you down more as I do this so you get a close-up of it. All right, here we are at the base of the plant. So what I'm going to do is come back a little ways. I think the rhizomes are all in the center there. And I'm just going to take my foot, push the shovel down underneath, and pull it up. And grab, oh, nope, still tucked in there pretty snug. Now I don't have to dig up all of them if I don't want to, because I do want some to be here, to remain here. This is pretty dry right around here, but you know, iris don't mind being drying, and back there is the drip. So it's not like it's just starving for water. No, it's, look, there is moisture down there. Just that top part was dry. Now, I'm going to take out the rest here because many of these over here, can you see, over here are also the same one. So I want to make this pathway a little more clear so I can get around the bench. If you notice my last entrance garden tour, I did not have the bench here. I was debating on whether to put it back or not. Uh-oh, be careful of your other plants. This is a Monarda. And yeah, I could probably try to root that piece and get another one. So that is a possibility for that. I did not mean to break it off. But as I said, I'm pulling these up and I'm going to show you how I'm going to replant what I'm going to keep here. Oxalis needs to go. Now you notice back here, up here, I have very clay-like soil. In the back, it's very sandy, so I've got different conditions. The back was filled in with fill dirt, and it's just very, very sandy and doesn't hold moisture well. So I'm constantly trying to, what do you say? Constantly trying to add stuff to it to make it retain moisture better. So okay, now those are far enough back. Let me see how many's in here. And get rid of this oxalis. Okay, pretty good. Now see how these are all starting to grow on top of each other? I really should get those out and replant them. seeing it? Growing in the bricks. All right. So you're seeing this. Well, let me get the dirt all off of it. You can wash it off if you want. But I'm going to just pull off like this one. Snapped off pretty easy. And then I'm going to cut. Where did I set my pruners? Oh, they're underneath me. Okay, I'm going to cut the stem off. And this is perfect for replanting. It's not a huge rhizome, but it is a good size. Now, when I replant it, I will put it in the dirt like that, and I will barely cover the top of the rhizome. And let me see if that'll hold. Yes. Now, if it was to topple over, and it may, because it's loose soil, and many people will have the back not covered. You see, it's barely covered with any soil. That helps to keep it down in there until the roots can go down, but also in hot, sunny areas, the backs of the rhizomes will scald, and you don't want that. So just that bare little minimum of covering will help it, not only to stay in place, but not to get the scald. But also to help it not be so top heavy, you can clip the leaves. You want to leave a fan, and that will help it to store energy. Now, for many people, this is not the time to do this. You would wait 6 weeks after the bloom has faded to do this kind of digging up and moving. I have done it many times as soon as they're done blooming because that's when I'm thinking about it. Now, it may delay blooming for another year, meaning instead of next spring I get a bloom, I'll have to wait another year because it's not a huge rhizome. It didn't get to store all the energy. Now there's enough leaves, it probably can, but if I was to leave all the leaves on it, then I know it would store enough energy probably to bloom the next year. Now another thing I do when I replant is I replant 3 together. So here you see this one, this mother rhizome, that's dead. And then this one just broke off of its own volition. And then there's another dead one, but there's 2 coming off of this one. Now, when I replant, I will go, and there's one there, and it's pointing, the rhizome's pointing this way. I would put this one, nice amount of soil. I don't have my trowel right now. I'll do a big no-no and do it right here. I'd make a spot for this, and I'd put it right here with this rhizome pointing towards that one. And then I would plant it too. And I'd do a 3rd one right here. And that is how I get a bulky bloom of iris so that it's really pretty and you get lots of blooms. And then it takes a while for them to bulk up, so it'd be maybe a couple years before I would go through this again. Now, if you watched I have a spring garden tour of all the irises, and my rose cottage garden, Rose Alley, I just did a tour of it. You'll notice all my blooms, and this is how I take care of my irises, so there's no worries, even if you just delay a bloom. If it works best for you, you divide when it suits you and your timetable. Like later on in the fall, you might be too busy. You might be harvesting and canning and what have you, so you wouldn't have time. Now, it is ideal, like I said, 6 weeks after your iris blooms have faded to do this because they've had time to reabsorb through their leaves all of the sunshine and rebuild the energy in the rhizome for next year's bloom. So you can cut the stalks back and let the leaves remain. Don't cut them back. But if you need to move it, go right ahead and divide it. That, like I said, I needed the pathway to be cleared through there. There's still a whole nother section left of the same iris in that spot. Let me show you. See this right here? all of this is the same iris, so I'm still going to get a beautiful bloom next year. I'll cut back the stalks that are back there, but now I have a clear path. The ones I displayed planting again for you, I will move to another spot in the garden. And that is basically my after iris care. And I make sure they have enough water, but not too much water. And some of mine in like the rose cottage garden, whoops, almost fell over. They're a little blocked from getting enough sun. So I will trim the plants around them back a little bit so that make sure that they get enough sunlight to store up energy for next year. So there you have it, my little after bloom iris care video and how you can dig up and transplant ideally 6 weeks after the bloom. I just want to keep emphasizing that. And I also have a video and a blog post on how you can divide your iris in spring. If it comes to springtime and you notice a patch that's way too crowded, you can divide it then and you can still get bloom. Shocking, but true. So let's get a little before. I have gone through and done some cleanup with the iris that are done blooming. And then I'll show you how it really tidies things up after. So there, and then along here I've already done most of them, but I will continue on and do the rest, and then we'll come back and take a look at the garden. Oh, it's a beautiful morning out here. Just gorgeous. Can't wait to get dug in to all of the iris cleanup. I gotta go with my bucket, my shears, and my little shovel in case there's some I need to dig up. So here's the after. After I've cleaned up the stalks of the iris. Now, the majority of them I will not divide it for a few weeks, at least 6. The flowers have faded. Now, next to go to clean out will be the foxgloves. And this is the time of year, this is late June, early July, when I do that. I plant the seeds. I have a hydrangea down there I'm taking to my father-in-law. Look at that clematis. That's the one I took cuttings from, and I'm hopeful the cuttings take. For me, cuttings of clematis have like an 80% fail rate, so that's why I say I hope. So just cleaning up the iris and deadheading them makes a big difference. Look at the phlox. Here is the Sahara Rudbeckia, Black-Eyed Susan. Just love that color with that tinge of pink. It's not the bright yellow. Though I love the bright yellow. In this bed, that color seems to be more suitable. Oh, you can see, I forgot to clean up these. This is the ones that I dug up and was dividing with you on the video. So yeah, just cleaning that up makes a difference. That delphinium is just gorgeous. Yeah, here's one of the Rudbeckias. That's the brighter yellow. So that, my friends, is how I do the iris. And I think I will share with you, because I already did it and then erased the video, cleaning up the clematis. You notice there was one on this trellis that was like that one, and now it's been trimmed down, and I'll share with you how I do that. So here's the clematis. It's done blooming. This one I think is Bee's Jubilee, and yeah, down at the base. Now it's full of weeds. This is the perfect time for me to get in here and weed this, but I'm going to prune it back hard and let it regrow in for more blooms closer to fall. So let me get down here on my knees. I should have got my pad. That. knee pad, but I didn't, and I'm not going to go find it now. But oxalis is really filled in here, and I need to clear it out. So I'll try and pull away a bunch. I'm going to try to keep my head out of this. I hope I can. But all I'm going to do, now that I've cleared a spot to kind of see, is find where the stems are. Now, it's over here. I don't know if you can see over there. Let me double check my camera really quick. Right about here is where the stems come down to. So I'm going to grab about 12 inches up, and I'm just going to trim them all back. And then I will pull them off the trellis. And these will all go in the compost. I'm not worried about starting anymore from cuttings. And that is how simple it is. And as this grows in, I will train it back up the trellis, and all will be good. You see how thick some of these bottom canes are, super duper thick. And that is as simple as it is. I had shared doing my other one, and somehow I erased my video, so I'm back here doing it again. And this time I will not erase my video before I have downloaded it to my storage. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to weed here a little bit, and then I'm going to seed some morning glories. I've never tried morning glories in this spot. I always thought it was too shady, but I think that would be pretty climbing up this. They'll climb up and bloom faster before the new vines will. And the ones I want to do are a blue and a white. One's called Milky Way, and the other one, I can't remember, but I'll show you what I do before I seed them. Alrighty, before I planted these, the day before, I put them in water to soak. And it was really easy. I did this, the Milky Way, and this other blue with white trim. I don't know the name of it offhand because, anyways, I'll show you the name on the screen. So here it is. Make sure my head's not in the way. The dish of some of them. There's a mix, so I don't know which ones I'll get. And I'm just going to seed 5 or 6 or more in here and see what we get. As I said, this gets morning sun, afternoon shade. Morning glories usually typically like warmer, sunnier areas. But you never know. This might be enough to get it going and growing, and then it will grow up the trellis, hopefully bloom before the new growth of the clematis. And then you'll have something pretty on it. So that is how I prune back my clematis in spring. These are the type 2 pruning types. So that, my friends, is how I trim back my clematis. The irises that I dug up and replanted. And then I'll take you around, if I haven't already, and show you how it really tidied it up, the garden, just by deadheading the iris. It can make a difference in getting rid of the stalks with the dead blooms on top. Also, next, I will start on the foxgloves. Right now, they're just blooming at the very top, and they're starting to look a little weedy. I will leave some here and there to reseed. I'll leave 1 or 2 of each color. I have the pinks, I have a darker fuchsia, I have one that's like creamy with the dark pink. So there's a lot of them. There's white ones, and there's yellow ones, and I have apricot ones. So I do that, and sometimes also, not only do I let them go to seed in the place they are at, but I'll cut off the stalk, and I'll carry it to the next area that I would like to seed some foxgloves. So that's how I do that. Okay, so I'm going to plant some more of the morning glories on this trellis from this, where I cut back this clematis, the one that I erased the trimming back of, and then we'll call it all good for today. So I will see you in my next video. Be sure to come on back. Everyone is really liking my lists I call them lists or checklists or whatever of different plants, like 15 perennials that spread fast or 10 fast blooming flowers from seed, things like that. So I'm going to try to do those once a month, if not more, because people have asked for certain themes, and I would like to get to those because when people ask me things, I like to, if it's within my power, do what they ask. So I will see you in my next video and look for my next themed list, checklist, whatever you want to call it. I'll see you then. Bye.